we see you too there. There's a little delay. So hello everyone on YouTube there. Thank you for dropping in, seeing us, doing some last tech parts there. Grateful to have you here, and also everyone hopping in here on our podcast version. Grateful that you're here. We're in for another Soulcare Liveclass, and tonight's topic is how to let go of shame and come back home in your body with Rebecca Hanscombe. And I'm so happy to have you here, love.
Hello, I'm happy to be here, Feline.
Thank you. Yeah, well, everybody here listening, everybody here watching, you're in for a treat. If you find a way to, meaning for the people on YouTube, if you find a way to put your questions or anything in the chat below, we'd be happy to answer them, of course, live. However, if you listen or see this after and you didn't have the chance to do that live, you can always, of course, still send us any questions or any comments or things you'd like to share. We'll make sure that we post all the material also of Rebecca in the show notes, all the links, all the social media platforms. And the same here, if you'd like to reach out to us, you can, of course, find anything on that below either this podcast, below this video, and below this announcement on our social media. Before we really dive into today, I would love to thank you all for sharing your precious time with us. And thank you, Rebecca, for doing so after a long day, long week, just hopping in here on your Friday night. Thank you, love. And of course, for anyone listening now, please stay until the end because you'll be in for a treat and maybe possibly even a little exercise and some really good resources and tools and things you could implement in your own life to let go of that shame and to come back home in your body and to land here on earth in ways you might not have experienced before. So to dive in, let's repeat that topic one more time: how to let go of shame and come back home in your body. I believe we're with the right person to go into this, as Rebecca is not only someone very skilled. I'm just coming from the heart right now. Very skilled and with over, I think, 25 years, but that's probably much more years of experience in the field of body work, group work. I've experienced some beautiful sessions with you myself, as you are a great coach, great teacher, amazing shaman, beautiful being with loads of spiritual support for those amongst us listening or watching that are open to this. I believe it would be nice if you want to share some on this later, please do. There's so much to say about you, on how you've built your life in such beautiful ways, on how you're such a role model to so many people. But maybe before I kind of start on a whole rant, maybe you'd like to add some things to this. Welcome. Oh, just one check. I don't hear you right now. Let's see. Something's blinking. I do not hear you now. Sorry, love. Let's see if I can do anything here for you. I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Okay. For some reason in Zoom, I can see that normally you see this little mic with a little color in there. No. But could it be me? Do I need to change anything? I heard you right before.
Can you hear me okay now?
I hear you. Yes.
I'm just using my computer microphone. Really sorry, Felina. I don't know
No,
what.
no worries. All good. Um, no worries, and all fine.
Yeah, so what were you saying?
I was doing like a little introduction of who you are. Well, for to me, you're a great coach, great teacher, great shaman, and also a dear friend actually. And I my heart feels so warm whenever I'm near you, and I just love you. That's mostly what I feel.
And I love you too. And I'm remembering I sent you a photo today of when we were on Avebury tour, and then I was remembering because we were coming together this evening, all our fun
Yeah.
and diving at the Bosnian pyramids. And so like, yeah, it's good to be here. And I going back to what you were saying about the introduction, one of the things that I've learned in nearly 30 years of experience, obviously, the experience has grown over
Yeah.
those 30 years, and I wasn't always quite so confident in what I was teaching. But I've just learned that when women, especially, hold shame, they hold it within their bodies, they hold it about their bodies, and it's not a natural state of being. So when you come into different practices that allow you to just let go in a safe space, your life can just change like that. And so I've worked over the years with many, many different people with all sorts of backgrounds. Generally, I work a lot with people who've got trauma from sexual abuse, and I've worked a lot with women who have fertility problems. And often these things can go hand in hand. So although I've worked with many men too, primarily I tend to attract women.
Mhm.
And I started working in 1995, actually, in a women's prison, and I was doing dance and movement therapy there. And it was eye-opening to me how much, even in a place like a prison and with people detoxing and coming off drugs and all sorts of things, that with a little bit of movement and a little bit of safe space, that in every class, when we kind of had a little bit of a relaxation session at the end, those women would drop. And sometimes they said that they'd never felt so safe in all their lives. So I think that was a real eye opener for me, and it projected me on this journey of finding out more and more about our somatic experience, how emotions are held in the body, how shame is held in the body, and the transformational tools that I use, like the dance, the family constellation, the shamanic practice, the breath work, they're all fast tracks to that transformation and empowerment. And it's not about me necessarily doing anything to you. It is like opening the door for you to see for yourself, and that way the empowerment sticks. Because
Yeah.
if you do it for yourself, you experience it, you know that you can step into, your power yourself without needing somebody to always be there to help you to do that.
Mhm.
And that is, yeah, I just think it's a bit magic. But our
Mm.
bodies are just so amazing, and they're so intelligent. And when we tap into that intelligence, we can change, transform, grow, resolve, renew, reclaim the parts of ourselves that we've lost. And I really like this word, reclaim or remember, as
Yeah.
we say in shamanism, because your natural birthright right is to be a like ecstatic being, is to be a spiritual being in a
Mm.
human body. And this is like a spiritual technology, if you like, this
Mm.
body that allows you to access your spirit, your connection to ascended masters, to dragons. As you know, I'm big on dragons, like your power animals, your star family, your family of light. All of that can be accessed by coming into your body. And I would say primarily um, women need to feel comfortable in themselves, in their bodies, because we're much more feeling. We take stuff into ourselves.
Yeah.
Whereas, no, let me just rephrase that. So, meditation, if you like, is better done through the body with the women, because we're used to moving about and dancing. So, moving meditations allow us to access that state much quicker than just kind of sitting in your cave
Yeah.
and you know, chanting or breathing. When women are active, and especially when women are in groups
Yeah.
active together, that's when our biggest healings can happen.
Mm.
So yeah, I am passionate about that. And it's because it's you know, it's the journey I've been on myself as well, from being, you know, probably quite traumatized young
Mm.
in life, and a bit
Mm.
neglected emotionally, and probably feeling, I think probably up when I was young, I definitely would have been classed to have ADHD. I was that kind of a being.
Mm.
But now I see that that brain as just like a massively creative tool, that when I can harness it by doing these different experiences and different body techniques, that it can really serve me. And like I've got all this beautiful creativity that comes out of me, and it just free flows. And so I would say, you know, over the years, especially through dance and movement, um, I have transformed everything about me. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And for doing so, because you're such a beautiful, beautiful being. I don't know if people can feel it now here on whatever media you're listening or watching this, but I noticed I felt it live being close to you, but also even online in this radiance you you emit this wonderful energy, thanks to all your deep work and your own, well, your own path and allowing yourself to heal. You've grown into this, maybe this depth of it now that helps others and attracts those women, like you said, and of course men. I think if anyone is also amazing in the awareness of how not only women but also the men amongst us might benefit from letting go of shame, of course, and also coming back home in their bodies and how to feel. It's just a different, like you so beautifully expressed, it's a bit of a different entrance point, maybe, if we can say it this way, or yeah, uh, for women, maybe the movement and in groups is helpful. What would you say would be helpful for men?
Well, men definitely need to come into their bodies much more as well. But I think that what I found over the years working with men, that it's a lot about actually tuning into nature. For women, it's that as well, but like being able to get out in nature, get your feet on the earth, like allow yourself to take action when you need to take action, when it feels like it's coming from a good place. And one of the things that I often do with men especially is like finding that internal sat nav, if you like, so that they can discern from a place of power, um, and take that action and know that it's the right action. Because I think one of the things that maybe is a bit different, that a lot of men, when they feel disempowered, are more tending towards procrastination, because they can't quite decide what action to take. So that is a heart feeling as well. That is a heart feeling, but it's also knowing that you are connected to the earth, that you have a place here, that you belong, you are a man of the earth, also a woman of the earth, but like it's really important for men to feel that they have a place and that they can be men.
That moves me. That's beautiful.
Yeah, because I think it's so, especially in our day and age that we live in now, there's so much I think there's a lot of, I'll be honest, I think there's a lot of demasculation of men happening. And it's not okay to do that. You have to get into your feminine side, you have to get into your masculine side, but that needs to be balanced within everybody. And I think part of the thing of not being able to take action is because men are quite worried about how that action would be perceived. So I think it's hard, and of course, like a lot of men these days have grown up in single parent families, and often it might be the female that's looking after the male growing up, so they don't have the same kind of role models going on. I'm not saying that that's everybody's case, because I know that there's lots of fathers that have a lot to do with their children and want to be involved and be that role model, but I think it's a sad fact that there are also lots that haven't got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be able to see that dynamic between the masculine and feminine personified in your parents doesn't happen so much as it used to. So I think men can feel just like a little bit lost, like they've lost their way a little bit. So getting into nature and really feeling the groundedness, and then finding that space, that power, and then that space to discern is like, it's the way forwards.
I love this. Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. And so this is put into words that I haven't heard in the same way before. And it lands, well, hopefully for people listening, of course, and for people watching. Yeah, there's so many things you've just shared. It's almost like, wow, what direction will we go? Is because yes, this is so true. The importance of the discernment, the having a place on earth, and the being fully welcome in the masculine, right? And also, just as women, actually being the allowance to feel safe, to be fully themselves in their strength, and the, how did you call that,
Demasculation.
demasculation, thank you. That's actually what makes it also feel so unsafe for men to now have that place on earth. And yeah, thank you for going there. This Very important, beautiful work that's that we may do, hopefully may touch lives with, and that you have done up until now already. Before you shared something beautiful, I'd love to ask you, until the point you want to share, of course, on that bit of your own journey that actually helped you step into being so passionate about today's topic. I'll repeat it one more time for people just popping in now. How to let go of shame and come back home in your body. Would you be willing to share a bit on what your journey was that made that bridge for you to be the teacher, actually, and the leader?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a couple of things that have been really important in my life that were real turning points for me, I think. And one of them was I grew up, my parents started fostering children when I was 3 years old. So, and over the years until I left home, they had hundreds, we had 100 children come through our home. And because I was the oldest, and we mostly had babies like 0 to 5 months that were in the 70s, they were pre-adoption babies, and then it slowly changed where often there was drug and alcohol use and different things, and that's why the children were placed in foster care to see whether their parents could make the changes that needed to be made or then go on to adoption. So I met with 100 little souls, and being the oldest, I had a room to myself in our family, but I always had the babies in my room. And so I've always like felt like I was like this magnet for these little lost souls, and I did what I could to, give them the love and care that they needed. And one of the things that happened when I was about 14 years old, we just we got we were just going away on holiday, and we got this little boy who was about a year old. Maybe he was a bit older than that, maybe 18 months, and he was called Damien. And he'd been in foster care already and come out of his parents, and there was reports that there was some abuse and different things. Anyway, we got this baby, and then we went down to our caravan in in Clacton, and my parents went out and left me babysitting, which I wasn't very happy about, I have to say. But then this little boy started crying, and he was uncontrollably crying in his cot, and he wouldn't let me go near him, and he wouldn't let me pick him up. He was so traumatized. He was kind of sitting in a little ball like this, and he was just crying and crying and crying, and I just didn't know what to do. So all I did, the only thing that I could think of to do was to just like I like put my hand across his heart at the back, and I just started speaking to him, like just softly saying that it was all right, that he was safe, that, because I didn't know what else to do. I was quite terrified myself, but I just found this calm space inside myself and managed to calm him down. And literally after about probably what seemed like an hour, maybe it was more, maybe it was less, he just, like, his sobs turned to whimpers, and then eventually he just came into my arms and cuddled me and fell asleep. And like, I still think about that now, and I think that was just a real turning point for me in like, whoa, this is trauma, and what trauma needs is just love. And that softness and that gentleness, and something inside me just was like, really, wow, that's amazing. And so that's kind of the attitude I've got to everybody I come across, especially if they've, if they've had a lot of trauma or different things going on.
Yeah.
But then at the same time as that was happening, I was in a lot of pain. I had chronic knee pain, and I was on and off crutches for all of my teenage years. And I got actually addicted to painkillers. I didn't know I was addicted at the time, but I realized when I started hallucinating one day, because I took what I was allowed to take and nobody told me any different. And I had just had this completely warped sense of my body, because my body didn't work and I didn't sleep very well. And I was just like, I was pretty much I was quite a mess when I was a teenager because of this pain. And I think because of that, I just hated my body. Like I had a real, I was really twisted about what I looked like. I was very, in my teenage years, I was very thin, but thought I was really fat. I had body dysmorphia. I couldn't even look at my feet. I couldn't stand looking at my feet. I love my feet. And it was a real journey for me for years and years to just let go of this shame from my body. And I was a real, amongst other things, I got into the rave scene and everything changed, and that was great. So I found where I belonged in that and started rebuilding myself in a way. And then I was a real bookworm. So I read everything in those days. In the 80s, they didn't have the internet. So I was like in and out of the library, and I was just curious about absolutely everything to do with different spirituality, healing, ghosts, aliens, the whole gamut of like, I wanted to know everything. And I think over, that search, I started to pull things towards me and go on different training programs and like, so I've done many different trainings in all sorts of things like qigong and acupuncture and obviously ecstatic awakening dance, shamanism, just loads of different body things. And I think I healed myself through everything that I was doing. And I realized, because when I first did a group in Holloway Prison, I was fucking terrified. I shouldn't have sweared then. Absolutely terrified. But I still just kept pushing myself through the kind of pain barrier. And now to the point now where like a couple of weeks ago, I was doing an event with 400 people. So, and no shame, no, not even nerves, just excitement. So over the course, it took a long time.
Yeah.
I would say it took at least 10-15 years of doing lots of different things for myself before I felt really comfortable, being in that space to help others.
Oh, thank you. Yes. This journey of yours. Thank you for sharing, and for your openness on this. I love that. And it's so important. I love that you dare to go there, and it resonates on so many levels. And I always love to create this openness also in these podcasts or live classes, because I feel this is the way we relate to each other. And there's so many people out here that might have already embarked on this journey and are already teachers in their own right. And it could also very well be that people listening to this or finding this in maybe one year from now, who knows, um, that they might still be on the journey on how do I actually feel? How do I actually sink into my body? How do I connect? Or that might have this epiphany of recently had one where um, where you realize you have been numbing yourself in whatever way that is. I can also share honestly, for me, it was maybe not painkillers, but I know that I've had some, well, my own trauma and my own path where I also always share that honestly. I've had some years where the pain I carried physically, but also emotionally and spiritually was of such of to such an extent that I thought back then in my innocence and in what I've seen around me, um, that I had to numb that with either drugs or alcohol or things to escape because I had no idea how to do that differently. And it might not be the prettiest picture to paint of myself, but I feel that the honesty is the only way to finally get to the other side of it, to get really honest and grounded with ourselves. And we all have our own forms of addictions. Um, and it's just actually an act of love and being gentle to face the honest truth of it, to allow ourselves like, hey, yes, sometimes we might not even know there's shame buried in our bodies,
Yeah.
but it can show up in oh, the discomfort of even being in our bodies,
Yeah.
to think, we need that extra glass of wine or beer or something stronger, or have that come through our lungs in a form of smoke and somehow dilute our fields and our energy and our precious bodies because the pain might be even way too much. It's just so
Yeah.
honest. Thank you for sharing.
So I think there's two ways that people deal with, emotional pain and trauma. They either cover it up with addictions,
Yeah.
ever, everything has the capacity to be addictive,
Yeah.
or we just totally disassociate.
Yeah.
So we're out of our bodies and just, try and do that thing that's called spiritual bypassing, where we try and be super spiritual up here in the heavens somewhere, and then the body is just kind of left to do whatever, and we don't care for the body because we're escaping from the body because it's too painful to come down into that. But actually, this age that we are in now is all about bringing that spirit down into the body so that we can make the changes that we need to do. We can be the light that we need to be, shining just by being ourselves, not necessarily doing anything specific. You don't have to be a spiritual teacher to make changes in this world, but as each person comes into their body and finds their passion, their purpose, then they increase the light everywhere, and eventually it will just all evaporate.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is really important to say as well is, like, when we start seeking for that light and wanting to go on that spiritual journey, then the body goes, okay, you can have this much light, but you've got to deal with this much shadow.
Very true.
And so the path is like, okay, bring the light in, and then I deal with the shadow, but in a loving, kind, beautiful way, because all addictions ultimately boil down to one addiction, and that is relationships. So your relationship to alcohol, to drugs, to people, to whatever it is, gaming, gambling, sex, whatever it is, it's all about your relationship to yourself.
Yeah.
And so when you start healing that relationship with yourself and putting yourself first, self-love first, and I know that Feline, you're amazing. You know, you've been on this journey, and you're doing that for yourself, and that's why you're able to be in this role that you're in. It's like that is the only way
Yeah.
to make any change. You have to be selfish.
Yeah.
So
And
difficult for so many people because, like, especially if we've got shame, we want to people please. We've got that codependent thing going on where we want to make sure everybody else around us is all right, and then we can feel all right. And I've been there. I've got the t-shirt. I like for many, many years until I like took the time out of my life and out of relationships to know what I really want and to be able to step into a new relationship with that self-love intact. And I
thank
think
you.
Feline, that's the journey you've been on a little bit last year, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, it feels like a journey of more than just 1 year. Oh, Lord. Yes. Yes, to come back to what you say there on the necessity of the courage that it takes really to step into something that we're programmed to call selfish, which
Yeah.
really it isn't, and it is at the same time. We've been so programmed that it's normal to be codependent and that it's normal to be actually addicted. And the addiction, like you said, it boils down to the addiction to love, appreciation, and approval from the outside world. And how then do we get to the courage of how may I give that to myself in the first place? And it's I remember having the fear, and I think it started already having some beautiful jobs, uh, more like fixed jobs, and then the journey of starting to kind of oppose what my boss wanted or oppose what I thought well, bless them, my dear parents or dear surrounding, dear people around me wanted, what I thought others wanted. And I think it started when my body was really, I had the journey already, quite the journey of unraveling the mysteries of the trauma and the pains, but it showed up in a way where my body literally was screaming at me, like by not allowing me to walk for a while, and the eyesight uh not being as clear as one would like. And I think then was the time to finally be ready. And I really wish for many people listening or hearing this that it doesn't have to come that far. But for me, I know I can only speak for me. I had quite the turning points and the moments. And when it was time for the body, I had let it come quite far. So for me, that was finally the time to have to sink in there, to really do it if I wanted to walk and if I wanted to see. And if I didn't want to be in a wheelchair by the age of 34. And I think it's, thank you, dear body, for being so intelligent. It moves me now because it's been such a journey, and our bodies are so beautifully sacred and so intelligent. They have everything it needs to help us heal. Everything is already in us. Like you said, it's almost like spiritual technology. And I'm just so grateful right now in this moment for this beautiful body. And I wanted to make a bridge in this, and where are we going? Um, how to let go of shame and come back home into my body. Oh yeah. Um, oh yeah, I remember the courage that it took to not please others, to say no to the people I loved, to say no to people that were further away from me, but who I was scared to say no to because my body needed something else. It was then that I finally started to do it and really break more and more free from the people pleasing, because recovering people pleaser here, of course, I have every now a little step back into some of these things, but most of the time it's very grounded and very home. And I'm just so grateful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of about giving yourself the space as well, isn't it? And time to yourself to be able to reflect on that instead of just running around, like,
Mm.
um trying to put out fires of, because you can never satisfy somebody else. You can only satisfy yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And
so
obviously acts of kindness, and you can touch people's hearts that way, but if you're coming from a kind of codependent people pleasing place, you
mm.
never you can't feel their their whole, because yours is not full. So your heart needs to be full first, and then it overflows.
Exactly. Yes. I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, wow, where did the time go? We went into this beautiful bubble here.
It's true. That always happens when you and I are together, Felina.
Yes, it does. And I'm like feeling, I have a feeling we went into some beautiful bits and pieces here. And I'd love to check in with you if there's something you'd like to share that we didn't touch upon yet, or that you feel is just a beautiful resource that helped you along your journey, or anything really. Is there anything that
Yeah, I mean, primarily for me, I will always come back to the dance,
Hmm.
because, you know, it's just a permission to drop into my own body, in my own space, just for a couple of hours, and what a difference it has made to my life. Just that ability to close your eyes, go inside. With the ecstatic awakening dance, we warm up and then we shake. All of these things are really, really powerful by themselves, but when added together, and then we free dance, then we lay down, and then we come back together. And that is just like the perfect balm for my soul, and my body and my mind and my heart, whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed. Just like, yeah, move a bit, dance a bit, but with the eyes shut, just me and my body going inside. So I would say that has been the most constant balm for my soul, since I basically started raving in 1987. I haven't stopped dancing since then. um,
love it.
it has taken a few different forms, but really, that dance, ecstatic awakening dance, without anything else, just full consciousness inside my body, has just healed me on so many levels. And it's accessible to everybody. So I would say, like, have the courage to step into this dance. And I offer an online dance. It's either me or one of my amazing qualified teachers that takes it every month, and people can access that for free. Give it a go.
Yes. And I would say,
Um,
please do. And of course, at the end of today's talk, we'll also share more of your links and also in the show notes. So yeah, please, if you're listening to this, yes, go follow those classes. And not only that, there's so much more that you offer.
yeah, and the other thing is like your connection to spirit. So I work really a lot with dragons. I have done for like well, I first met my dragon, I think, in 2009. And so I've been working with that energy ever since. And these ascended masters, these, these power bags of light and this ascension thing that we're going through at the moment, this new earth, the dragons are there to really help with that. And so are all these beautiful feminine ascended masters that I work with, like Mary Magdalene, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary. They're all there just waiting to be contacted. All you need to do is say, hello.
Hello, I'm here.
Hello, hello, yeah. Cosmic telephone.
Yes.
I've got this problem, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? And then just waiting for those messages. So it's as simple as that, being tuned in. You don't have to, bang your drum, do a dance necessarily. It is just quieting the mind, tuning in, making some intention, and then listening for the answers.
Yeah.
How it comes to you.
Yeah, that's an important one. However that comes to you, because
Yeah.
there are people listening now that are like, oh, I wish I could do that, but I don't hear this. And that is okay, because to some of us, it will appear in different forms.
Yeah, it comes, but the spirit talks to you in all sorts of ways. So you might see, magical numbers. You might get attracted to a book. You might have, I'm crazy about like oracle cards. Like you can pick a card. This one's really good. And yeah.
People listening, the one that you were holding up was called Magdalene Oracle, right?
Yes.
Yes. For
Yes.
people listening, this is also beautiful. For people listening, I'm looking at Rebecca, and in her background, there's a beautiful dragon. There's some beautiful candles, and she's holding up this oracle deck, which is awesome.
And this is amazing.
Yes.
And I'm doing a journey with this starting on Monday, which is quite soon. So if anybody's interested, this is working with the Sophia Dragon Tribe.
Yes. So Rebecca now is holding up a beautiful book. It's called The Sophia Code by Kaya Ra. That's Kaia R A. And the book is called The Sophia Code. We'll share it also in the show notes, also in the podcast version, so that you can find it back. Please share more if you like on that.
Yeah, so I've been on this journey for about 3 or 4 years now with the Sophia Code, and I've loved it. There's loads of initiations in the book. It's a way of working with, quite a few ascended masters who I was already working with, and then the dragons in there. I was just like, oh my God, this is made for me, this book. And so what I did was I went on a training to become a Sophia Code circle leader, so that I could take people through the journey of the book chapter by chapter. And it's kind of like a sacred book club. Doesn't really sum it up. It's a journey into the temple of your soul, on every page of that book. So I really recommend reading it, but I also recommend coming on a journey through that Sophia Code with other like-minded people, because the amount of information and inspiration you can get from other people is just so important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I recommend that. I recommend all sorts of things. But basically, do what makes your heart happy. And that might be cooking, that might be cleaning, that might be like playing badminton, that might be going for walks in nature, but just work out what makes your heart happy and do it more often.
Yeah. This way we will embody joy even more and sink into our bodies, becoming more safe in our bodies. And then shining our lights even brighter.
It's true.
I love that.
In the mirrors of our soul.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and helping others lift up, being lifted up actually by just polishing our own mirrors.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only way forwards.
Yeah. What I always love to do at the end of these sessions or recordings, there's several things we can do. It's always an open. There's always some questions I would love to ask. Sometimes there's also some space. If you have any idea or any like a meditation or any practice, like you say that you do with dance or anything that you'd like to take people along in, or that people could kind of get to know how you work. If you want to do that, then the floor is yours. I don't know if you feel like it, but we
Oh,
could.
no, definitely. I can take people into a little visualization. What I won't do is put any music on, which I often would, just because, you know, you never know when you can share them on YouTube or not.
Yes.
So let's just do it, shall we? So I invite you to close your eyes and become aware of your breath. So breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Take a few deep, easy breaths this way. And as you breathe in, feel yourself being energized. And as you breathe out, just letting go of any tension in your body, in your breath. And just notice that this awareness on your breath takes you deeper inside, takes you deeper into presence. And then let your body float down, your breath float down through your body to your feet. Maybe give your toes a little wiggle. And then imagine floating just above your feet is a beautiful sphere of light. It can be any color you like. And for those of you who may not see or visualize in the same way, just open up your inner perception to feel this however you feel it. So on the next in-breath, we're going to pull that bubble of light into our toes, feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, up into the hips and pelvis, up through the spine and the central torso, into the shoulders, separating down along the arms all the way to your fingertips. And then fingers, hands, wrists, forearms, elbows, upper arms, shoulders, neck, head and face, swirling up into your crown. So your whole body is filled with this beautiful light. And you can just notice if there's anywhere in your body that feels contracted, or maybe there's some pain, tension. Just imagine that light pouring into that space, loosening off the tension. And just allowing yourself to come more and more into presence with your body, with your being. And then just bringing your breath and awareness back up into your heart space, into your chest, and maybe put your hands over your heart. Just notice how your heart might be feeling today. And you can imagine sending love to your own heart, sending warmth, love. And then just notice if you could give yourself one thing right now, what would that be? What would your heart's desire be? And really turn up your inner perception, however you perceive. So, what would it look like? What would it sound like? What would it taste like? What would it smell like? And most importantly, what would it feel like if you had your heart's desire right now? And maybe there's one overriding feeling, but maybe there's a whole raft of feelings. You can have as many as you like. And when you feel these feelings, really turn up the volume. Let these feelings get bigger and brighter, spilling out of your heart. And you can imagine those feelings mixing with that color. So your heart's desire is now a color. And then allow that color to, that light, that sparkling glow to move all the way down to the tips of your toes, all the way out across to the tips of your fingers, up through your neck and into the crown of your head. And just breathe here, breathing that heart's desire in and out of your body. Not grasping, just being. And then give yourself a hug. Bring your arms around you. Take yourself in your own embrace.
Mm.
Giving yourself some love and gratitude for the courage to step into this podcast today. To, yeah, maybe find a new way to come home to your body.
Mm.
And this is how it starts, self-love first.
Mm.
And then let's take a stretch. Maybe yawn up that face, fluttering open your eyes, coming back into this space.
Back home in the body.
In the body. The body's where it's at.
Oh, thank you, love. So beautiful. I hope that anyone that was doing this at home, that they experienced something magical or something beautiful, or if you didn't feel anything, that it was at least relaxing in some sort of way.
And your experience is your experience. You know, sometimes when we're so stressed out, it can be really hard to get into that. And then you feel disappointed in yourself. So I would say don't. Like,
Mm.
be kind to yourself. Wherever you're at is where you can start on a journey to
Exactly.
more.
Exactly this, especially this. It's so
Yeah. Yeah.
because yeah, sorry. What did you want to share?
That was it.
Yeah, what came to mind is this whole journey, this beautiful today's topic is so like how to let go of shame and come back home to your body. There are so many beautiful ways we've now kind of round this circle into the coming back home, and you just share something so important, which is there can be still parts of us that are still dealing with the shame, and a friend of shame is, or well, a friend in the shadow is also guilt or blame. And they sometimes hold their hands there in the darkness, each other's hand. And we can all have these tendencies to shame ourselves, or to blame ourselves, and pile this, immense pile of guilt that is already stored in these wonderful bodies of us. So thank you for saying that, because yes.
And the heart opens, like, if there's, the heart is where our self-worthiness can get stuck. So as when it's inverted, it's like, I'm not worth it, I'm not talking to anybody, my that I'm just not going to come out of this place, and we become quite depressed and our shoulders are hunched over. Whereas, or if it activates, if it goes active, it can be like that victim mentality. For me, nothing ever goes right, I do whatever I do for other people, and so they're very tricky energies, and a lot of shame is cast upon us. I mean, but seriously, look at marketing, look at all these things that are just like very cleverly designed to make us feel shit about ourselves, our bodies. And that can, it just closes you down to experiencing so much. And I mean, there's so many beautiful exercises
That we can do.
that I like to do, but there's like, yeah, maybe one of the things maybe to take home from this
Yeah.
is like to maybe do a little journaling practice or talking practice, whatever works for you, that you just write about how that experience was, and ask your heart, have you got anything to say to me? Like, and what can I do to help you? And like, seriously, this movement,
Yeah, just for people listening.
we're just rolling our shoulders, maybe like spreading the wings a little bit. This will actively start to open the heart physically as well. So I recommend coming to a dance class, but like, yeah, just don't be afraid to look in your heart, because your heart wants you to feel better. It is the interface between you and spirit. Your heart is that place.
Yeah, our heart is the bridge.
Yes.
The bridge to our souls and spirit, and this beautiful path. So the more ready you are to sink in that beautiful heart of yours, the easier it also becomes to actually find the path deeper in the body, and automatically actually to spirit. It's both as above, so below, or as heaven, so is earth.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Thank you for taking us on this wonderful visualization and on these beautiful nuggets of gold that you share in these exercises. And
It's
the
dragon.
real, sorry, the dragon,
Dragon treasure.
the treasure. Yes, yes. Um, I would love to give some space for you to share where can we find you, and also um,
Well, the best way to find me is just under my name, Rebecca Hanscombe. As far as I'm aware, there's only two of us in the world, so you're pretty much likely to get the right one. So looking on Instagram, looking on Facebook,
yeah.
got things like that going on, but primarily most of my work is on the School of Ecstatic movement website, and you can find out about what we're doing there. And the other thing is, if you think you want to go on a journey with me, like with the teacher training, with the constellations, when we go to Bosnia next year, or the Sophia codes, then I think what I need to give you is a link, Feline, to a clarity call. So I offer a free 15-minute clarity call so we can just see where you're at and what you might need.
Yes, that sounds great. I will make sure that we've got these covered for you, Rebecca, also in the show notes. And anyone listening, there's more links there to find your way to all these beautiful trainings and the website and everything that Rebecca does that I would definitely recommend to have a look at and try for yourself. As I speak with experience personally.
Yeah, we've been fab journeys together, haven't we, Feline?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have, and I'm grateful for that. And ongoingly, and before I always love to kind of end with a specific question, but before we go there, is there anything that you feel like sharing that we haven't touched upon or that you want to go to?
Do you know what? I don't think there is really. I think it's been quite a rich conversation. So.
Yeah, it's very rich. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what I would love to ask you then is if there would be any legacy that you leave behind here on this earth, any specific knowledge or a saying or a motto that you live by that would, that has moved you throughout your life, that you feel might move others through theirs, what would it be?
Do you know what I think the most important thing in my life is? When people come on the teacher training, we do this exercise called the unique brilliance, which is a way of uncovering what it is you bring to the
No.
world, what your special way of shining is. And my unique brilliance statement is, I inspire evolution through humor. And um, the most important thing to me is like that I can have laughter, that I'm sharing. It doesn't have to just be a joke, but I'm just around people who just don't take themselves too seriously, that we can have fun, we can have a laugh, we can play around, and sometimes not be very PC, and just like get down and dirty in some ways of being humorous, because I think it's one of the most healing things. So I would say just laugh often, be around people that make you laugh, that make you smile, because life's too short.
Yes.
To be miserable all the time. So sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah, of course. Of course it's necessary. And thank you. So important. Yes. Inspire evolution through humor. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes to this. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your sharing your wisdom here, love. It's been a wondrous and rich journey indeed.
Yeah, beautiful. And thank you so much for inviting me on, Feline. It's been a real pleasure hanging out with you this evening.
Same here. Oh, coughing, breathing in all the all the joy. Yeah, thank you everyone for staying until this point. Loved having you here. And till the next one, I'm I'm excited for what's to come, and I wish you all a beautiful rest of your evening, day, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much. Big kisses.